I'm delving here straight into the occult, what some people might call the occult, but it's basically a story of a young woman. She was 22. She had a whole lot of experiences in her childhood, which I'll show you tomorrow. But basically, at the age of 22, she was heavily pregnant, and this couple walks into this house party she's at and walks straight up to her with a piece of paper with her name on it, exactly what she's wearing, the exact time, and they tell her that her life is going to change. So I interview her about this and about how her life did change. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you. So you were 21, 22, and you were married?
I was married, and I had a daughter when I was 19.
Yeah.
My eldest daughter, yeah.
Okay. The story I remember is you were just kind of sitting at this party. There were a whole lot of people there, and you saw a guy come in, and you were in a pink dress.
Well,
it's probably,
a pink dress.
So she told me the story a good many years ago. Yeah.
No, you're right. It was a pink dress, and it was a maternity dress.
Maternity dress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Up to that point, I had only been seeing and hearing and feeling stuff, but I'd never heard of mediumship. I'd never heard of clairvoyance.
Yes.
And it was like 2 weeks before I had my second daughter. Our neighbour had a party, and he invited...
Oh, so you were pregnant at the time? Oh, right.
He invited us over because he said, look, we're going to keep you awake all night, so you might as well come over and enjoy our party, which is what I did. Yeah. And I was just sitting on the settee in their house, and about 9 o'clock, thereabouts, I looked at the front door, and a couple walked in.
I was a couple.
Didn't know them.
Okay.
And the woman looked around at everybody, and she looked at me, and then she said something to the man, and he sort of poodled off and just went and mingled.
He poodled off and mingled?
Yeah.
I like the way you put that, yes. I'm going to use that. He poodled off and mingled, okay,
yeah.
Yes.
And then she walked over to me, and she said, hi, are you Estelle? I said, yes. She said,
How did you know? Yeah.
I didn't think of that. And she said, my name is Gail Taylor, and I'm so pleased we found you. And I said, well, I didn't know I was lost, What the hell is this woman? What is she looking for me for? Yeah. And she said, can I sit and chat? I said, yeah. She sat down, and then she said, and this blew me away. She said, my husband and I were instructed to fly to Salisbury, and then she grovelled around in her handbag, and she took a note out, and on the note was my neighbour's address, the time, 9:30, and very pregnant, dressed in pink. It was written on the note. Mm-hmm. And I looked at her, I said to her, where did you get this information?
And your name as well, because
my name.
She asked you your name. So your name, name, the time, your neighbour's address, dressed in pink, very pregnant.
Yeah.
On this note?
On the note.
Wow.
And I said, where did you get this? Oh, she said, well, my husband and I flew up now because my mother's retiring, and they need somebody to replace her. So I'm like, what the hell is this woman talking about? And I said, who gave you this information? And she said, a Dr. John. Now I'm thinking gynecologist, when you're pregnant, you have the pregnant brain. And I said, Dr. John, where does he practice? Oh, no, she said, he died about 100 years ago.
100 years ago?
And I think she said 100 years or whatever. And I just went ice cold, Ava.
I don't remember this part of the story, but I would have too. So I think anyone would have.
It was amazing.
100 years ago.
And I said, what do you mean he died 100 years ago?
Okay, yes.
So she looked around and she said, you've been chosen by Spirit to do trance mediumship. And I was like, what? What is trance mediumship? She said, maybe we can come back tomorrow, because this is not really the right sort of atmosphere to discuss this. I said, well, I don't live here. She said, oh, don't you? I said, no, I live next door. Mm. And that made it even more extraordinary, because in my mind afterwards I realized if she had come and knocked on my door and spoke to me like that, I would have shut the door in her face.
Yeah.
But it was like the right place at the right time.
Yeah, so it was because you're at this party and,
Yeah.
and you can't tell someone to bugger off at a
No,
party.
it's not my house.
It's not your house,
No.
yeah. So you're more open. You're more sort of open
Yeah.
to people walking up to you. Somebody comes and knocks on your door and says, 100 years ago, or
Yeah.
someone died 100 years ago, gave us this message.
Yeah.
I think the message was given to them recently, though, hey?
Through her mother in her trance medium.
Through her mother.
State.
Oh, is that how it happened?
And they
Okay.
said to her, write this down because you need to leave as soon as possible.
And you were living in Harare in Zimbabwe at the time.
Rhodesia, yeah, at the
yeah,
time.
well, Rhodesia at the time. And they had come all the way from Johannesburg.
They flew up.
They flew up. This couple flew up.
Yeah. Now imagine Ava doing that.
No, I mean, I've
They don't know me.
I remember the story, so I've thought about it a lot.
It
yeah.
actually blew me away. Anyway, they came the next day. I said to her, well, look, just come to my house tomorrow.
Did you sleep that night?
No?
I wouldn't have. I would have been like, what the hell?
Yeah. And they came the next day, and that's
And-
where it took off.
Sorry, just to button, that night when they came, the reason why you didn't sleep, of course, is because they told you they had flown all the way from Johannesburg
Yeah.
with this note,
Yeah.
knowing where you're going to be, your name, pink dress,
everything.
very pregnant, and you're going to become something that you're not.
Yeah.
Your life is going to change,
That I know nothing
And-
about.
that you know nothing about.
Yeah.
And that now, now we're going to come and see you tomorrow and talk about it.
But even stuff like that night,
The thoughts through your brain that night must
maybe
be,
it's a conspiracy. Maybe they want a baby,
oh, maybe they want a baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
All this stuff was going
Baby
through my
thieves.
head.
It's
Yeah.
big. Yeah.
And of course, my husband at the time,
Wretched baby thieves.
he was very anti.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I told him when we got home, and he said, a load of rubbish.
So these people came, and the story I remember is that they stayed with you for like a year or something like that, and because you weren't happy for your whole life to change.
They didn't live with us. They came up,
Yeah.
and once they found me, they rented a house in Salisbury,
Mm-hmm.
and they brought all their furniture up. They just stayed there for the next 2-3 years, even after I came back to South Africa,
So they moved there to actually
to develop me.
to develop you. They, moved from Johannesburg. They had this little piece of paper with your name on, and they said, you're going to take over from
Her mum,
her mom.
yeah.
And they spent like a year with you before you moved to Johannesburg. But
Yeah.
they said you have to move to South Africa.
Well, Spirit said to me, well, we need to come back to South Africa,
Yeah.
which is what we did.
And be the next sort of take over from the mother,
Yeah.
because her time was coming to an end.
Mm.
Wow. And you became quite close to these people. I mean, at first it must have blown you away.
Well, yeah, it was a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But, you spend time with people and you learn to understand and you ask questions and they give you the answers.
Yeah.
And you see what's happening. I saw what was happening to myself within me spiritually. And that's, I suppose, that sold the whole thing
Yeah.
eventually to me.
Okay.
It's a bit of a crude way to put it, but
So over that year, it really sort of cemented in you that you did have this purpose,
yeah.
which I mean, at first, so you had these experiences when you're young, and then now at the age of 21, you had a child, and then your husband moved back with you to South Africa. They both moved back with you, and then you started this doing the deep trance.
Yeah, I started doing deep trance, and I had several groups in a week. Teaching groups, development groups.
Like 30 or so people coming.
Yeah, 35 people used to come to us a week.
And then they would record these sessions because you can't remember anything afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'd record them and then you would listen to yourself speaking.
Yeah, the next day I always did my washing. So
Oh, yeah?
I used to listen to the recordings on the big archive tape recorder and the
Yeah.
speakers while I was doing my washing.
Oh,
That was
awesome.
my routine, yeah.
And then this got distributed how? I mean, these people
It
would
was just transcribed.
transcribe.
And then people used to photocopy it or copy the original copies.